What's up everybody, Ben the Blower here today, bringing you LEGO Transformers Atombreaker. So here we have Atombreaker in his Cybertronian tank mode, and blimey, what a tank mode it is. It's something so menacing and big and beefy and bulky, you don't actually really quite know what to look at or what you're seeing. All you know is it's big, it's beefy, and it's menacing. So you don't want to mess with this guy. He obviously comes with this little accessory on the top of his turret, which is just another one of those satellite poles. Instead of translucent red like it was for Talos Prime, this is translucent green for him. So let's just set that off to the side. And here we have the main tank mode. The turret does obviously rotate 360 degrees, which is just placed onto a jumper plate. Just so it can do that. You do have a little dark blue translucent cheese slope in there, which is not meant to be a cockpit, it's meant to represent his Decepticon symbol. He's got the two big treads at the front and the two little treads at the back. He's got these like piston joints which look like they give him suspension, and in some way they sort of do, because these sections are on hinges, so you can obviously bring these down to get him to stand up a bit more, and of course lay down and get lower down onto the ground. So that's quite unique. Not really much to see. On the bottom you can sort of see the back side of his head right here. Now I will admit, because this guy is mainly coloured black, it might be a bit difficult for you guys to see him. But that's why I decided to throw in lots of light grey and dark grey pieces on him, so you can see the difference in his colour, and I think that sort of adds to his character a bit more. This guy is very menacing, especially with his tank, his giant turret over here. He's got these two little, I don't even know what you call these pieces, but these are meant to represent like machine guns that can only fire forwards. And then of course he's got this big tank cannon that can rotate and, you know, shoot at different transformers and stuff, which is very menacing indeed. For a quick size comparison, here he is compared to Classic's Optimus Prime in vehicle mode. Let's just put them like this, so they're lined up like this. So he's a bit longer, other than the extension of the red satellite pole. He is about just a bit longer than Talos Prime, maybe even the same length. He's obviously about the same height, including the turret, including the turret of the tank, but when you take that off he's much lower. And of course, if I just reattach that without breaking everything, like it did just then, and if I compare these two, you can see he's obviously a lot wider, obviously because he's a tank. So I think this guy is really cool. Atombreaker, obviously, you could probably see where the name and the cut and the green energy blast that was similar to Talos Prime's might be going with this. So I think, why don't we just sort of fast forward as much as we can to that, and let's get on to his transformation. Much like Talos Prime, Atombreaker here has a very unique transformation, but he does suffer from a few fragile joints. So we're going to take our time, but try to power through this transformation so that, you know, he doesn't fall apart midway through. Luckily, his transformation is a little less complicated than Talos Prime's, and it's fairly simple, which is what I like a lot about this guy. So to transform him, first things first, we're just going to pop off the turret of his tank, and we're going to set that off to the side. So anyway, let's begin to transform him. So first things first, what we're going to do is these wing panels here, we're going to bring upwards on the joints that they're connected to. Oh, that's a bit of a stiff joint. And we're just going to bring them out to the side. Just, oh, see what I mean? Just like that. That way, we have enough clearance to get his legs done. The wheel assembly, whole wheel assembly, is going to come down to here. This jumper plate is just going to come forward slightly to give him a bit more stability. And then the tread of the tank is just going to fold up and in. Then this leg comes out on this fire hose piece, and then at this clip we're gonna bring it along just like that, bring it down, rotate it, and then position the legs sort of something like this, just like that. Exactly the same on the other side. So we're going to bring this down, then the tread itself is going to fold around, the jumper plate here is going to come down, and then his legs just pumped off again. Bring the fire hose panel up, and then slide it back along that bar, bring it around, down, and situate the legs to how you want. You probably see where this is going now. So the whole arm assemblies will come forward and slide upwards on this bar, and then the clip is attached to a 1x2 panel which we're going to bring up, and then the 1x2 panel is actually connected to a jumper plate which we're going to bring all the way around. This clip here we're going to bring around and upwards slightly to form his forearm, just about there, and we're going to keep it forward for now. This assembly is exactly the same thing, so we're going to bring it out, we're going to slide it up on that bar, just like that. That reattaches there. The 1x2 panel will hinge up, this section will come all the way around, and then this clip for the arm will come up and forward, and we're going to leave him for the moment just like that to work on his head and his back. And this is quite cool. This is my favourite part about his transformation. We're going to bring the head out just like this, and then the clips here on the side of his head will come around to form his ears. This piece, which is his faceplate, we're going to twist and rotate around so it's got a nice dynamic faceplate. The treads will come backwards like that, and then this is another weaker joint. This whole assembly will rotate around on a jumper plate, and the turrets that became the front of his tank will sort of sit in his back to fill in that little gap there. Then the head will come up, the treads will bring upwards like that to sort of become like, I don't know, like armoured plating, like big beefy shoulders. Push the arms back, situate his limbs however you want, and grab his gun. There's a 1x3 panel here. He has two 1x2 double Technic bricks on each arm with quarter pins in. So you can attach it to this arm, you can attach it to this arm. Personally, I like to attach it on his right arm. So he has this big tank arm. And there we have Atombreaker in his robot mode. Now Atombreaker's robot mode is pretty unique. It goes from being a very, wide and beefy, intimidating tank, and actually turns out to be, still somewhat intimidating, but very tall and quite slender looking robot mode. I like the fact that his front treads become like these giant, tread shoulder back wings. It sort of reminds me of the Transformers Armada Megatron, the way his front treads become like his shoulders. This guy sort of has a similar sort of aspect to him. Of course, he's got the nice jagged edges on his arms, the tiny little clip hands, the nice thin sort of piston legs with the big boots. He is kind of articulated. He has a sort of similar articulation to Talos Prime. His head can turn left and right and go backwards. His arms can come in and out on 2 different places. His arms can go up and down on a swing up this way. He's got a bicep swivel. He's got a hinged elbow. No fists, obviously, I'm afraid. He doesn't have any fist rotation. He's got swivels at the hips and they can move up and down. He's got a sort of, I guess you can consider these piston pieces here, these fire hose poles here, like, I guess you can consider them his knees. So he's got a slight, like, swing left and right. They can move forward and backwards, and he's got a swivel. And, of course, his big, this whole thing is basically his foot. It's just a big boot. So they can go forward and backwards and do a swivel. And he's got, obviously, posable, you know, outer foot and then inner foot as well on these treads and these jumper plates. For his unique ability, much like Talos Prime, you can obviously see these black, you know, panels here. He's got the, he's got the little vent pieces here. He's got these pieces here, and he's got the big treads. I like to think that his idea, much like how Talos Prime can obviously harness power from the sun, he has the power and the ability to absorb energy, any type of energy, nuclear, radiation, electrical energy, and he's able to use that in for himself to obviously power up buildings, to transfer energy to other Transformers to give them a speed and energy boost. He, on the other hand, can use it as a decimating weapon. But yes, he's able to use his own unique power to cool giant powerful energy blast, which he calls his neutron blast. So he obviously has a green version of that pole that he can use as a blast effect. And another cool thing is he actually can use that as a melee weapon. If we bring his arm back down, you could take the lightsaber hilt off his tank turret, his giant cannon, which he calls his neutron cannon, and of course you can make it just one giant lightsaber. Plug this into this and plug it into his hand for him to have a sort of irradiated energy sword. Here he is standing next to his rival Talos Prime. And I think these guys do complement each other well. They sort of have a Megatron and Optimus Prime sort of vibe going. Talos Prime is obviously head height, he's just a tiny bit shorter, and of course with Atombreaker's big beefy tread shoulder pads, he's obviously very more intimidating. But he's just maybe 2 studs taller than Talos Prime. But I think these two guys complement each other really well. Obviously, when these two guys have their unique powers, the neutron blast and the solar flare come together, when they do these super attacks, I imagine that these two blasts come together, collide, and a huge burst of energy basically makes anything technological, including Transformers, go offline for a certain period of time. Such a huge blast of energy decimates anything in its path, destroying anything and anyone. And I think that's so awesome between these two. Anyway, I think that's going to be about it, guys. So, if you liked the video, please leave a like. If you want to see more, please obviously subscribe and tell me if you've got any other suggestions of any other Transformers you think I can make. Obviously, this has been Ben, bringing you Atombreaker. Peace out.